Hello and welcome. If you don't know me, I am Mercy, the head game master here at HereThereBeMonsters, and we're back with another working Wednesday stream. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of February, 2025, and I'm so glad you're here. Speaking of which, thank you for being here, Izzy and Kale. Izzy was on it today. I dig it. How are you guys? If you're new here and you don't know the format of the show, the goal, at least, is that I work on D&D stuff in a fairly focused manner for about the next hour. Oops, I forgot to restart the timer, though. So the goal is to put 30 minutes on the clock to work for approximately that long, maybe a little bit longer, but about that long. Then take a 5-minute stretch break, come back, put another 30 minutes on the clock, and get out of here. As you've seen probably from my previous streams here and or from your own life experiences, it can be very easy to get into the weeds and just have fun doing all of the things that a DM gets to do. And of course, I enjoy doing that as well. But the hope for these streams is to set a fairly narrow focus and set those things up and knock them down. Mustache, thanks for coming by. How you doing today? Appreciate you, Izzy. Okay, well, good to see you as well. Hello, hello. Tomorrow's the day, sir. Welcome back, Hale. So our goals for today are actually, I guess as far as D&D news things go, the plan is to upload the next episode of Kingdom on Friday this week. So that'd be Friday the 14th, Valentine's Day. I think that's more or less it. So the goal for today is twofold, or the goals for today. The first and biggest thing on the list is to try to finalize the system that we started during last week's Thursday stream of mechanizing
YouTube stream is
peasant
now live.
Migration. Thank you, Lumia. So creating some mechanics to randomize and handle the migration of NPC peasants onto or away from Alendite's land. Then also I have some organization that I need to do in Trello. Now I did say that the peasant stuff was going to be first, but I might actually do the Trello thing first because I kind of sort of started it off stream and I think I'm mostly done. So we might knock that out real quick and then get to work on the peasants. I am excited about the peasants, though. I think we had a really good start on that project last time, and I posted to Blue Sky for suggestions and got a couple of great ideas there as well. Mustache doing good. I'm glad to hear it, sir. As he said, good, just had your lunch, Caesar salad, and protein shake. That sounds good. Enjoying coffee and a book. Very nice. Very nice. Enjoy your book. Thanks for joining us. Kale is chilly too. You got a snowstorm coming with sleet and ice. Yeah, we've had I forget what they call it exactly, but we've had like cold weather warnings. We've been having our overnight lows have been getting into the negatives Fahrenheit, and our today's daytime high is at least supposed to get up into the low 20s, but the last couple days we've been having daytime highs of like 10 and overnight lows of like -5. Oh yeah, they don't use around here. They don't usually use winter weather advisory for temperature specifically. Like I think they call it, I don't know, like cold weather advisory or cold weather warning or something like that. And what is Mustache up to today? So the first thing here, organizing the Trello boards, I can't show that because there's a lot of behind the scenes spoilery type notes in there. So I'm just going to be talking through that. But once we get to working on the peasant thing, I'll camera over that so you can see what I'm doing. Where Azrael's going to be miserable at work this week. He works outside on third shift. Oh, dear. That sounds awful just in general, but especially in cold weather. Went over to Worslick's Woods to kill forest giants. You know, Google said that was a good idea for 23. I'm not super familiar with the Kunark giants, so I can't I cannot support or condemn that behavior. Next week, you might end up getting paid days off because it'll be single digits and unsafe to work in. Well, I'm glad they do that at least. So one of the things I'm doing is on this Trello board, I have a number of categories. I have things that I'm doing today, which are fairly obvious. I have things that I need to do before the next session. I have things that I need to use during the session. Then I have medium-term projects and long-term projects. And the medium and long-term projects are overfull right now. And some of that's because I do have a lot of ideas that I want to work on. And some of that is because there is some stuff, like I was just throwing ideas in there as I was having them. But some of those need to be moved to other boards or added to other lists or whatever. So, hello there, Tabitha. You'd love to run my campaign past me at some point. If you just mean kind of like conceptually or whatever, I'm more than happy to do that during these streams. If you want more in-depth feedback or idea building or whatever, that's probably more of a Discord thing, but I'm happy to help however I can. They drop an earring called the Forest Loop. Yes, Floop is great. Here for the XP, but Floop would be a bonus. Yeah, for sure. And it's not as uncommon on Quorum, from what I understand. Okay, so things like magic items that I've been eyeballing for potential future use. I think I need a separate list for those. And last time we were looking at the honor and reputation systems. So I think we create a list called mechanics and items to kick a few things out there. Yeah, very cool. I'd be happy to. Are you, I'm sorry, I have so many people with so many different names across platforms. I may not know how I know you, or maybe this is your first time tuning in, which is entirely possible too. But if I already know you, is there another name that I would know you by? Oh, that's your wife. Excellent. Yeah, I would love to do that. Thank you so much for coming to the stream. Oh, two quick interjections for folks on the YouTube streams. One, make sure you change your chat from top chat to live chat. Live chat is like what you're used to on Twitch, where it goes in order where it's posted. Top chat is some weird algorithmic thing that is generally not good. So that's, and then if you're here today, I want to say thank you for being here, and ask if you wouldn't mind taking the extra second to click on the like button. It's a good, easy, free way to tell YouTube that you like what we're doing and that they should show it to more people. Yeah, that makes me excited, Tabitha. I love that kind of collaborative work and idea building with other game masters. That would be a blast. When you have a chance, you can send me a message or something and let me know, kind of some general schedule availability maybe over the next week or so, and I'd be happy to see what we can do. Okay. Yeah, I have actually way more things that can get kicked over into the mechanics and item musings than I thought I did. So I'm glad I'm sorting right now. Your stay-at-home mom's your schedule is free. Oh, very cool. Okay. Yeah, this stuff like content creation and community building is my job, which is a job that I am incredibly blessed and grateful to have. So I can be relatively fluid with my commitments as well. This week I'm pretty locked in, but we should be able to get together next week. That'd be cool. So some of the notes here, I can read through a little bit of what I'm doing. Some of the notes are things like flesh out the relationships between the guard units and the paladins, and add like names and like generate officer structures for the major cities in Red. So that's the type of stuff that I'm organizing right now. I have one here that just says city building and mapping. I'm sure I just meant like draw maps of more of our cities, but that's vague enough that I feel like that can probably get deleted. One of my long forever wishes is to set up a wiki for our setting and our campaigns. That is a long-term goal, so I'm going to leave it in long-term, but I feel like that's like extra long-term. There's another magic item that I came up with during one of these streams. That's a good thing for the long-term list. A reminder that we need to have a knighting ceremony for Alandite and Roslyn. I have an idea for that, but I just don't want to forget. Hello, Lily. Here is some info about deities that I will definitely not read out loud because that is some deep lore world building. Hey, actually, Kale, do you remember? And maybe if you need to DM me the response to this, that's fine too. Was there a specific? I don't know. Does this make any sense to you? I have a note that says language/dialect for Atfal Shamsi. I mean, we already know, like, kind of culturally what we based your homeland off of. I can't remember what it was that I was hoping to accomplish with that. You have D&D books from first edition? Very nice. Oh, okay. So we need to come up with a name for your language. Okay, we won't do that today, but that'll be easy. Name the language. Okay. That note will make much more sense when we look at this in the future. And thank you for subscribing to the channel, Tabitha. Or do you prefer I call you Wussy? I'm fine doing either. Okay. Everything that's in long term now should be in long term. Let's look at medium term. I don't know why I went in that order, but add lesser fabricate to the stronghold spreadsheet. So this one's a little bit weird because it depends on how the party's going to use it, because it affects each stronghold component individually. So I don't know if we actually can add it to the spreadsheet. We just need to account for it. Account for lesser fabricate based on stronghold spaces. Utilizing it. That's super cool that you have first edition books, Tabitha. Are they reprints or are they original printings? I feel like this was a thing that I had put in medium term, but I think is actually long term. That's medium term. We should finish up. There are some vacant captain spots because some of the captains of the militia died. I can call you whatever. Okay. You don't think they're reprints? That's so cool. I have almost exclusively 3X stuff. But I do have a complete collection of first party 3X books, all 90 whatever it is, 93 of them or something. Armory and guard supplies. So that's probably okay. Actually, let's move some of these to use during next session, because that's going to be accounting for lesser fabrication and the armory and guard supplies. Those are probably both going to be dealt with next session. Some of the originals too. Nice. There are some encounter charts that I need to do for sure. A song that I want to make. Adding some extra info for the worshippers of Banah. I'd made a note for myself that just said prepare to travel north, but I think that's already covered in a couple of other notes that I have here. I'm almost done. Encounter charts. Wait, is that in there twice? Oh, it is. Hey, we get to mark things off the to-do list without even actually doing anything. Mainly because it shouldn't have been there in the first place. Rules for drinking contests. Notes about Rubato, and then would it be you or Rubato that would give you the poem? Are you thinking about for his backstory video, Lily? I hope to have more info on that next week. Drinking contest. Yeah, I mean, that's a D&D classic, right? Mainly, I just wrote down the rules so that way we're not hunting for them, because I could never remember which book they're in. I think they're actually in Arms and Equipment Guide, but it's way easier to just have them written down. Okay, I feel way less stressed looking at my Trello board now. There's still a crap load of stuff in there, but it's way more organized than there is less in there. Sweet. Okay. Oh, and we still have 13 minutes. Heck yeah, we still got plenty of time before break here. Is he? So, all right, let me switch my camera view here, and we can look at this together. For context, in case you're not up to date with our campaigns, I guess two things. One, if you like D&D and you're open to the idea, we are working really, really hard to get our YouTube channel monetized this year. The two main goals for that are getting to 1,000 subscribers, which we're at about 720 right now, and 4,000 watch hours, which is huge. That's a lot. So everybody that watches our live streams and that goes back and watches our sessions, we really, really appreciate it. You are helping us immensely. Right, Kale. Number two is a bit of a spoiler, I guess. So earmuffs for like 10 seconds if you care about that. But it's a very broad stroke spoiler. And it's context for what we're doing today. So one of our here, I'll do this for while I'm talking in case you don't want to hear. One of our characters is a knight paladin multiclass, and he has recently been deeded a fort and surrounding lands over which to preside. So what we're doing today is working on version 2 of some homebrew rules to handle peasant immigration onto and off of his land. Started making a Satch's group roll for Con and Prone for their drinking. Oh, I gotcha. Hello, Shalendor. Thank you. Yeah, so a lot of people, it's easy to miss, and obviously you can homebrew your own rules for drinking in D&D pretty easily. But in the 3.0 book, the Arms and Equipment Guide, Also, when I say I have all the books, I mean I actually have physical copies of all the books. Not, I have not been sailing the seven seas. Page 32, alcohol and intoxication. So blah 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 blah. The first drink in an hour imposes no penalty on the fortitude save. The second drink consumed within the same hour imposes a -1 penalty. The third a -2, the fourth a -4, and so on. So for each drink after the first, you're doubling the penalty on the fortitude save against the poison. A character who fails a save takes 1d2 points of temporary ability damage to both wisdom and dexterity. A character who reaches 0 wisdom passes out unconscious, and a character who reaches 0 dexterity collapses into a drunken wreck, but remains in a blurry state of consciousness. All right. So, your bestie's fiance has almost all of them, but he bought the digital versions. So they take up the space of his Kindle, and that's it. Bestie was not having more D&D clutter. I hear you. I hear you. All right. So, okay. So, here's the earth round. This is what we have down so far. This is a modification of our townsfolk rules that we use for players running NPC businesses in Rin. And we went through and pulled out all the parts that felt pertinent, and then stole the mechanics from some for other ideas. So mainly what we're trying to do here is we're trying to kind of mechanize all the factors that make sense to contribute to peasant emigration. So what we have, and this will be a D100 roll. I know. It's a D&D product, so not using a D20 is kind of heresy. But the problem, of course, with D20s is that you have a 5% chance to roll any face, which means that it becomes any sort of bonus, even just a +1 is a pretty big bonus. So with D100, we can be a little bit more granular. So, of course, I'm open to other suggestions, but this is what we started out with. So we had ideas for what would affect peasant immigration. We have risk. How risky is it for the peasants to live on the landlord's land? The location. So, and again, we'll clean some of this up and redefine it a little bit better. But like, how desirable is the location? Infrastructure. So depending on what we're talking about for location, but if you're in a city, infrastructure is like, is there plumbing? Is there is there water? Is there waste removal? Yada yada. If we're talking about a more rural area, then infrastructure is like, are there roads? Are there wells? Are there mills? That kind of thing. Hello, Jason. This is our work in progress system for determining peasant emigration to and from a player character's land. One of our PCs is a landlord now, or is about to be, I guess, technically. Oh, also, I just realized. Oh, wrong one. There we go. I was up in the higher spot from RimWorld. So how risky is it? What's the location? Is there infrastructure at the location? Is the land prepared, which might be a little bit redundant. So we'll think about that one a little bit. Is there trade and access to goods? Then are there incentives or subsidies? Reorganize some of this a little bit. Sounds like fun. You're going to listen in while you work. Awesome. Thank you. Good luck on your work. I appreciate you being here. Guild affiliations or business partners? I don't know. So that's from the townsfolk. I don't know if that one makes as much sense. Like, yes, if there ends up being a like strong guild presence of, you know, whatever, let's say carpenters on Alandite's land, then it might be more likely to attract other carpenters, but that seems a little bit more granular than we want to get, I think. I think I'm going to delete that. So then we have suggestions from this thread. Oh, right. Hold on. The way that we do this is different now in Windows 11. There we go. So I posited on Blue Sky a question for game masters and dungeon masters. What drives a peasant to move or not move onto someone's land? Have risk, location, infrastructure, and access to goods. My Knight Paladin has a fort and land, so I'm making a system to determine the rate of settlement. And I only got one response, which is a little bit of a bummer, but it was a very good, or one contributive response, but it was a very good one. Comes from the notebooks. They suggested rent, taxes, soil fertility, relative levels of tolerance and persecution, cost of moving, level of connection they have to the current inhabitants, cultural or religious associations, and demand for their goods and work. We may not use all of those, but I think there's some really good ideas in there. And then I said, God, how did I not think of taxes? Glad to have the extra eyes. I did actually have incentives down, but I forgot to include it in the OP. Cultural and religious association is especially good for this because it's a borderlands. They might attract foreigners too. So I think we have a separate table that is D100 table for immigrant origin. Yeah, immigrant origin location. So I think that's really cool because we could go within the kingdom. We could have people from the far-flung reaches of the kingdom, but we could also have foreign nationals. Let me open the map real quickly for those of you that haven't seen it. Hold on. D&D. Oh God, that's the DM map. Don't show that one. I'm glad I hid the camera. I've become weazened from all of my years of streaming. So, oh, that's unfortunate though. My head's in the way. My noggin. I need to go back up where I was. There we go. So this is the map of the Kingdom of Rin as is commonly known by the populace. So obviously different peasants or even middle class people would have different degrees of knowledge of this, but this map in general could be acquired from shops and whatnot within the kingdom. So there we go. Probably as good as we're gonna get. Was that not gonna go away? Oh my gosh, Google, why are you the way that you are? Well, it's fine. Close enough. Anyway, so most of the kingdom is on the I guess from your perspective it's that way, is on the seaward side of the Serpent Spine Mountains, with the exception of Capstone, which is the unlabeled little dot right here. This is a hand-drawn map that I made about 12 years ago when I first made this setting, but I like to go back to it because of how simple it is, how it's pretty legible, right? Hey, thank you so much. Okay, well, sleep well. I appreciate you. So this is Capstone Peak, and everything in the area around it is named after it. So it's the town of Capstone, that's Lake Capstone, etc. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And the dotted lines are roads. So going north from there is a trade route that goes up into towards dwarven and elven lands, depending on where exactly you go. So that the town of Capstone is and the surrounding area is generally the setting for the campaign that we've been having to date. And the player fort, thank you, Izzy, is going to be located somewhere in this area. I know it's a little hard to see the mouse, but somewhere in this area. So, you know, people emigrating to Allendites lands from Capstone would be the most common, followed potentially by farmers from the smaller towns along the... Oh, can I not zoom in on it? Oh, God. Okay, don't do that. Followed by people from the smaller towns along the river. And then less likely would be people, because this is the mountain pass here at the river is the only known land route to travel in and out of the kingdom. And so the further you get from Kellen Tower, the more difficult, or the less likely it would be for you to be emigrating from, you know, there to outside of the Capstone area. So I think potentially we end up in a situation where it's actually easier for foreigners to immigrate than for many people from within the kingdom. Like somebody from the Winter Woods or from Canterbar would actually be closer to geographically closer than somebody from like Ariel, Lemuel, or Palil. Now, location, of course, isn't the only thing there, but anyway, I thought that was a really interesting suggestion. So I said, yeah, I was originally looking at infrastructure building as a way to handle the spend money to affect immigration, and I think there's some value and role-playing adventure hook opportunities in that as well, but taxes are a much more direct path, so we'll definitely include that too. So, I'm glad I pulled up the map because that did kind of help contextualize that for me a little bit. We'll add a little note here for... Yep, thank you. Just getting this thought out of my brain. Add a note here for... distance... for both foreigners and citizens. But then also, let's see, how did they word this? Like cultural and religious associations. All right, so... I think that's all I needed to write down from that one. Demand for goods is interesting. I don't know if we could really track that, but we'll write it down for now. Demand for goods. And services provided. Rent. I think we'll roll rent and taxes into the same thing probably and just count that as... probably just call it rent. Relative levels of tolerance and persecution. That's an interesting idea in general. I don't think that's pertinent for what we're trying to do here. Cost of moving. I do think that that will be covered by incentives and subsidies. And did I write down fertility of soil? No. Okay. So we've got that out of our heads now. Thank you again to From the Notebooks on Blue Sky for their suggestions. Hey, T-Bomb. And we're going to get up, stretch our legs, take that 5-minute break, and then we'll get back to it and try and refine this down into a usable system. And we'll end by flinging some dice. My poor dice bag. I love the embroidery on it, but the top is, it had some sort of like faux leather on it that has died over time. It says apply axe directly to problem. All right. If you haven't been up off your booty in a little while, now's a great time to get up and move around, stretch your legs, refill your water, and whatnot. I will be back in about 5 minutes. While I'm up and about, I am going to do a battle on Pokemon Go. If you have a chance to join me on the other end after the break, I'll let you know whether I won or not. Okay, I'm back. Looks like I turned on the break ends thing, but didn't turn off the break starts part. So that's why it says break. All right, I am back. I did in fact win. It was very, very close. Very, very close. And I got 2 rare candies for it. So that's awesome. Noob. I know, right? When you get back, could you go into the lore on the D&D campaign? You loved the idea, but was distracted and didn't hear it all, and you think your wife would love to hear it also. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Give me just a second here to actually change the thing over again. This will say work ends, and then I'll put it at 35 minutes. Well, no, I'll keep it at 30 because that's what I'm supposed to do, and then we'll see. We usually end up going a little bit over. But I do always struggle a little bit with how to talk about the campaign because some of the things that might otherwise be set for like in the world of Rin, and this and that and whatever, would be super spoilery. And I like the idea of the audience figuring things out, on their own and potentially before the characters do, or potentially learning things as the characters do. So I as much as I'd love to get into like the cosmology and talk about deities and demigods and all that, I at least so far I've been keeping more of that stuff more closely to the chest. But to our setting, what I will say about it is, it is a kind of a lower fantasy, low level, low magic, slow leveling. We're going for a very kind of Lord of the Rings inspired, like kind of epic low fantasy feel. So like there definitely is magic, but it's you're not going to run into flying wizard schools, that have hundreds of attendees and like all that kind of thing. The Kingdom of Rin itself is a predominantly human civilization that predominantly is monotheistic in worship of Bana, the Peacebringer. So the Church of Bana worships Bana himself, but also a pantheon of archangels. There are 6 of them. Essentially one to represent each of the non-evil alignment aspects of Bana's goodness and peace. So that being said, it is not illegal to, there's not religious persecution of people that don't worship Bana. But it's like frowned upon, I guess I would say, like culturally. but it is okay. There definitely are people who openly worship other deities and other powers, and there are plenty of other races as well. When I say predominantly, I mean like slim majority. I forget the numbers exactly, but the Kingdom of Rin is like 50 to 60% human, with a smattering of most of the other goodly races. Most of the other non-exotic goodly races as well. So there's plenty of gnomes, dwarves, halflings, elves, all that sort of thing. But we don't deal as much with things like catfolk and that sort of stuff. The kingdom is ostensibly under the protection of the God of Peace, and as such has been largely in a state of peace for many hundreds of years. As a result of that, the kingdom does not maintain a standing military as such. There are mostly any military presence are like town watch sorts of organizations, and then the town of Capstone, the one that I was showing earlier, the frontier town of Capstone, does have a bit of a militia. It's only been raised recently. It's fairly unorganized, fairly unfunded, But the area around Capstone has been much busier with orc and goblin activity as of late, and so the Baron, the Kingdom of Rin is separated into three baronies. The Baron, who oversees Capstone and several other towns, has been like funding and facilitating the expansion of a militia force to help protect Capstone, and by proxy the whole kingdom, because you'll recall Capstone is the only town outside of the protection of the mountains. So like if Capstone falls, then it becomes much, then the last defense is the mountain range and mountain pass. So there's a lot of politicking around who's funding what and who's responsible for what, and ultimately Capstone was assaulted by a large force of orcs, and we actually had a about 6 episode kind of mini arc that was completely from start to finish the Battle of Capstone. We actually mapped out and ran a battle with over 2,000 belligerents in it, which was super, super, super cool. And again, spoiler alert, but Capstone was saved. However, only just barely. Very, very barely. It was down to the wire. The gates were being knocked in. They were climbing over the walls. I won't spoil how it happened, but it was down to the very end. So, I don't know, that's a little bit about kind of like the basic setting and how we've gotten where we are. As far as how the Kingdom of Rin works, it is, I forget, we looked it up, the term for this, but it is not an absolute monarchy. There is a king, that's the Kingdom of Rin, but I'm drawing a blank on the name right now. But decisions for the kingdom are made by a ruling council. And the members of the ruling council are the king, the high priest of the Church of Banah, and the Council of Barons. So you'll notice there's a lot of threes here. But there are 3 baronies, so there are 3 barons. So the 3 barons collectively, they can have a majority 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 vote. So then the combined vote of the Council of Barons is 1 vote on the ruling council, and then decisions for the kingdom are made by a majority vote between the king, the high priest, and the Council of Barons. So theoretically, the Council of Barons and the high priest can overrule the king. It happens, obviously. That doesn't necessarily mean that there might not be political consequences for that, but that's how that works. I mean, obviously there's plenty more I can say, but it's kind of hard to, I don't have a campaign primer necessarily in my head. So that's all the stuff that comes to mind right now. I'm happy to explain more, answer any other questions or anything, but that's a 5-minute-ish how to. Oh, apparently the timer never restarted. Neat. Work does not end now. That's a lie. All that work for free. Yes, apparently. Thank you. So, the kind of the basic premise, right, is not that peace is a lie, but that things are fraying at the edges, literally and figuratively. Also, worth pointing out that history, at least as far, speaking from the perspective of citizens of the Kingdom of Rin, the year is only 561. So, that has some implications, I suppose, to be vague. I like things to feel special, but also I don't like getting too lost in the weeds on naming things. So, a lot of times you'll run into stuff, you're like, oh, this is we completely changed, all the days of the week have different names, the months all have different names, the planet has a different name, gravity has a different name, everything has a different name, and then you need a whole glossary just to listen to anything that anybody says about it. And I mean, if that's the way you have fun, like, no, not trying to harsh anybody's mellow, but for me, I like trying to kind of marry the creativity with usability. So we operate on the Kingdom of Ren tracks time in 10 days instead of weeks, which is not an uncommon thing for D&D. But all months are 30 days long exactly, and there are 12 months, and each season is 3 months long. So beyond that, the month names are descriptive. So the first month of the year is early spring. The second month of the year is mid-spring. The third month of the year is late spring. The fourth month of the year is early summer. Fifth month is midsummer. The sixth month is late summer. The seventh month is early fall, etc., etc. So it makes it custom, right? Like, it's different. Like, it sounds different enough to kind of be like, oh, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, you don't have to be like, wait, and what month was Flippity Flop? Oh, that's in the fall. Like you get to avoid that, right? So right now in the campaign that we're playing, it is like the 10th, 11th, 12th, something like that. Let's say the 12th day of late spring, 561. So, like, boom. I'm pretty happy with that system. All right. Again, happy to keep explaining things and answering questions and whatnot, but I'll get back to fiddling unless anybody else has anything they want to hit me with. So I think we're going to use all of that. Will go kind of together. You might be DMing a game on Fridays. Really? Tell us more about that. All right, so let's do a kind of a fresh read through here. So we have our roles. We have our skills that will be relevant to the roles. So that'll be diplomacy and then reputation. Will this not affect individuals or households? I kind of like the idea. I think we'll throw this up here. If you roll really high, essentially adding critical successes and fumbles. So we were looking at the standard bell curve last time, and we'll probably pull that up again once we start getting into some of the math. But I think with like a really high and really low % chance, your immigration will be, instead of individuals, will be number of households, like a 97 on the D100 roll, and then on the D4 roll, let's say that it's really high, then like you're going to get, instead of getting 4 individuals, you're going to get 4 households that move to the territory. That being said, I think that's only on unmodified rolls. Huh? Because otherwise you'll essentially never roll low, and that's how fumbles work. So that's on natural. Unmodified. It's your friend's Call of Cthulhu game. Wait, your friend's Call of Cthulhu game is about over, and you're the only one that has D&D experience, and they asked if you would DM some D&D for it. Oh, nice. Have fun. Have you thought at all about how you want to go about that? While I'm fiddling here, just as far as a little bit more info on kind of our campaign and our player characters goes, right now we have a party of 5. We have an Oathbreaker Paladin Knight multi-class. We have a Warblade, who is a foreign noble. We have a rogue that is a local of Capstone. We have Rubato, the wizard, who is a bit of an enigma. And then we have Druge, the half-orc spirit shaman, who's also a local. We have a good mix of locals and people from distant lands. We have various walks of life. We have commoners and nobles, and I think we have a very good mix of a party. We started out with Alendite, the then paladin, and Skabosh, the rogue, who were childhood best friends. Having kind of the good guy with a not so good best friend sort of trope, which was a fun way to bring things together. Skabosh had been found guilty of something and ordered to do community service, and Alendite, kind of as penance for sticking his neck out for her, was ordered to oversee her community service, and that's actually how the formation of the party started. So nothing wrong with a good you're sitting around a table in a tavern kind of session one sort of deal, but I think we found a pretty fun alternate way to assemble the party and come up with our initial purpose for being together. So diplomacy and reputation. So risky, I think, is still good. Location. Maybe we want this to be like desirability. You're good, Kale. Mainly, I just said that was cool and asked if you had any plans for what you were going to do. Paladin, the most evil of classes. It's true. It's true. I'm just going to say desirable location. And then we'll change that to description here. So is it risky? Or probably desirable location first, right? He did do evil things. Well, sort of evil, sort of broke the oath, like broke a promise, but also, yeah, kind of evil. Do we need desirability of location, or is that covered by risky? I guess you could have a location that is desirable but also risky, though, right? Yeah, I think we keep both. Yeah. Infrastructure, I think, is really good. Is the land prepared? And is there a better way we can say that? So that's essentially like with Allendight's land, for instance, it is wilderness. So, if you're gonna try and farm, like you're gonna have a lot of rocks and boulders you need to deal with. You're gonna have trees you need to deal with, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what I was trying to cover. But is there a more succinct way to say that? Is the land prepared? Can we narrow that down to like a 1 or 2 word description, like risk, infrastructure? Well, but you could have arable land that's not like currently viable. Is it for the hardy folk? That's longer though. Arable is more like is the soil of a workable quality, which is what they were getting at with fertility. But I think that's a little too far in the weeds, pun intended, I suppose. Which was one of the suggestions that was made. Cleared, yeah. That's pretty good. Yeah, we could say like cleared is the land prepared. So we can reuse that, but and again, we might reword it a little bit too, but trade and access to goods. Is this okay? And then I had written a note. Is this redundant with infrastructure? Completely or partially? I don't think so. Because infrastructure, I mean more as like literal infrastructure building, whereas like access to goods, trade and access to goods is more of a social thing, right? A fixer upper, right? So maybe we say, I think just access to goods or access to trade, one or the other. I think access to trade is a little bit more clear, right? Access to trade. Here. Yeah. Okay. Then incentives. We'll focus on descriptions later. Could there be a disincentive? I suppose so, but I don't think that's really relevant to doing something like this. Other suggestions from that post that I showed were, is there a demand for the goods and services provided? I don't think I think that was a good suggestion, not knowing the context of our world building and what we're trying to accomplish. But I think that's too specific for what we want here. Right? Because what the most common peasant occupation, of course, is going to be farming. And like, would we ever get to a point where it's like, oh, we want less farmers? Probably not. So then it would just be always on, like it would never change. And then at that point, I don't think it makes sense to be trying to work with. I think good suggestion, but not for what we are trying to accomplish. And then lastly, we have rent and taxes. I think we just narrow that down to taxes. I think that like mostly covers what people would be thinking of there. Like, yes, you would probably also be paying a rent to your landlord, but also functionally that's just a tax, right? So that seems redundant. This is based on the townsfolk rules. True, but I don't think we need that in the document anymore. Okay. So that's our second pass. We probably reuse the numbers from risk for taxes. We could change it to expenditures or maybe even just expenses. True. I think I'm okay with just taxes, but I do think expenses is a good middle ground. Also, I read what you said, but I don't think I followed up on it, Rocket. You said, not really. You're kind of debating if you want to do 5th edition or 3.5. You feel like 5th edition is going to be the most noob friendly. True, but they've already played Call of Cthulhu, right? Which is probably more simple than 3.5, but it's not like they've never played a TTRPG. We'll see how broken this is when we do some test rolls here in a minute. How big of a impact do we think access to trade has? Maybe we have like frequent, occasional, and none. Having no access to trade seems like a pretty big negative, right? Having frequent access to trade seems like a fairly good benefit. Yeah. Yeah, admittedly, this isn't going to be a city, so insofar as like a population center and more, like there's going to be like homesteads and stuff. So we're trying to cover like a broader area than. I mean, I think this would work for a city also. But I'm thinking more like Little House on the Prairie. So, okay. I think we'll fiddle around with it more, but let's start here. Like selling farm goods, buying equipment, you know, I mean, it could even be things like hiring doctors or veterinarians or that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, so the whole point, the whole reason that they've been given, that they're building a fort and that they've been given this land, one is it's undeveloped. So it's overall it's good for the kingdom to get the land developed, even if it's relatively minorly. And two, the town of Capstone, the attack on Capstone was more or less a surprise attack. They kind of sort of knew, thanks to the party's scouting, that the orcs were up to something, but they yeah, the actual attack itself was like a semi surprise. So they, in the aftermath, commissioned the construction of a few forts kind of on the frontier, a ways away from Capstone, to act as a buffer and early warning system in case of future hostilities. So the fort specifically that's going to be run by our player characters, Fort Leona, is about 20 miles outside of town, for a number of reasons that I'm not going to go all the way back into the nitty gritty on. If you go back 2 or 3 working streams from now, we did there was a whole section where we were figuring out where exactly the fort was going to be. We had already dealt with it in character, but it was time to, like, you know, put boots to pavement, so to speak, and narrow down on exactly where it was going to be. I think it was somewhere between working stream 59 and 61 for anybody who actually wants to go back and do that. This is today, right now, is number 64. You want to be a lord? Sounds expensive. Oh, very much so. Very much so. All right, let's get ourselves a D100 and do a couple test rolls. Obviously, the sample size won't be huge, but yeah, you need to clear the land before you can build on it. Yeah, that's one of the things that we're covering here. Actually, is like, is the or not that one. Is the land prepared or not? So for our player characters, I set up a thing. Hold on, let me screen hide real quick. I'll open it. Fort Leona. I'll do the super quick touch on this because we've showed it off once or twice recently. But I made a little auto-calculating sheet based on the Stronghold Builders Guidebook that would tell them their monthly payroll for the options that they selected for their fort, how long it's going to take to construct that, what the size of it is in what they call stronghold spaces, the gross cost, any discounts or other price modifiers that they have, and then the final cost. So all of that auto-calculates from decisions that they made here, like how far are they from a town, what biome is it in, what components did they select to go in the fort, did they manage to negotiate for any labor discounts, is there any magic involved in the construction, and then this is the worksheet that auto-calculates their staff based on what components they chose, because components have minimum staff. So like if you're going to get let's see, what's a good example. If you're going to get a chapel, like a fancy chapel, then you have to have at least one acolyte. That kind of thing. So that was a neat little project to put together. You would rather maybe it not be, and if there's trees, you could sell the wood for some good coin, as you have the coin to hire labor. Yeah, for sure. And at the same time, if you're gonna little house on the prairie it, you need lumber to build your cabin, right? So instead of having to buy lumber, to some degree, it's kind of nice to have trees on your land. Now, there's probably going to be way more lumber on your land than you want to build your house. So I still rule it as a negative, because like if you want to farm, right, and you're in like a heavily forested area, you're only going to need to cut down like whatever, an acre's worth of trees to build your house. And then now, oh dear God, we have to cut down 10 more acres worth for our farm. So like, that's still definitely a lot of work. So for the sake of the spreadsheet that we're making, I'm considering that a negative. But I do understand, obviously, there are some values to it. Where the heck is the other D10? Also pulling the stumps out to farm. Yup. Yup. Huge issue. How in the world? There's not that many dice in here. Yeah, if anything, the stumps are actually the main hurdle to what we're talking about there. Every time I try and find a set of dice out of my dice bag without pouring the whole thing out, it just humbles me and enrages me. I refuse. I will not lose to the dice bag. I will find a D100. There. True. True. I'm actually planning a little early access spoiler here for those of you that made it to the working streams. I'm planning a one-shot. Once the people get settled on Alendite's land, I think we do a one-shot where some folks get to play as some of the settlers. I think that'd be cool. Tell some of their story, some of their struggles from their own perspective versus just hearing about it. Lily thinks that would be awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I just had that idea the other day and I was like, this sounds like a good idea in my head, but sometimes that kind of thing is not. Weird, today feels like Friday to you. It's Friday, Friday. Oh yeah, to Mustache and Tabitha, you guys have a chance to think about if you want to potentially try and join us for Battle Arena. I finally found, I should have just poured the dang dice out, but I was not going to lose to an inanimate object. You assume since it's low magic, you have no one who can speak with animals. Well, so usually when I'm laying that out, I describe it more as low level, low power, low-ish magic. There definitely is magic around. Like I don't want to underrepresent it. It's just that a combination of it's not high magic, and then within the kingdom at least, most people who have magical aptitude or who show magical aptitude early in their life are recruited into the church. So divine magic is significantly more common than arcane magic. You did the Valentine's classroom parties today because it looks like tomorrow is going to be e-learning, and then Friday you have professional development with no students. Well, at least you still got to do it. I hope y'all had fun with that. Even thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, obviously no pressure, but I just wanted to make sure you had a good chance at the opportunity if you wanted it. The only reason you ask why be a settler when you can be a cow or a horse. Oh, my first roll on the D100 was 68. We were so close. So, oh, and I guess, okay, wait, hold on. So we need a general idea. What are we trying to accomplish? What number do we need to beat? Maybe we have like degrees of success. Right, because we were talking about bell curves before. Hold on. I have an idea. Have you learning now every time you get a snow day because you used up all your snow days already? Holy cow. Oh, actually, and to Mustache and Tabitha also, have you guys seen the stuff that we're building for this fort? I don't remember if you've been around during any of the times we've shown that off. We can do a little drive-by of the fort if you're curious. Not at all? Oh, sweet. When we finish up here, can you be around for a little bit? When we finish this, or at least finish version 2 here, we'll do a quick tour. Sweet. Okay. So I think we just pulled the bell curve, right? I mean, maybe we modify it a little bit, but more or less grab the bell curve. We need like a DC or whatever here. Yeah, yeah, for sure, Mustache. Is she still around too? Is she listening in? Or does she have to step away? Hey, I'm Ras. Having a 2-year-old and a newborn is hard to remember stuff. I can only imagine. No need to apologize. No worries. No worries. I appreciate you guys. All right. So here's what I'm thinking. We base it around 50, right? And then you're vaguely here. No worries. 50 to 64. Is 1d4 individuals. $65 to $78 is 2d4 individuals. Then maybe the average roll on a d4 is 2.5. So, okay, I know. So then the next one would be... Wait, hold on. How have I screwed this up? Oh, God. I took the 14% on the first one. Okay. I was like, wait, these numbers don't make sense at all. What am I doing? 84. 85. There we go. And then 13 or 14% from 85 takes us to 98, but I think we might tweak that a little bit. That's okay. For now, I'll just go ahead and do 99 to 100, 1d4 households. Then on the flip side of this, we've got 1 to 2 is minus 1d4 households. We went with 13, so then it's going to be 3 through 16 is minus 2d4 individuals. And 17 through, I guess technically it should be through 50. Right, because we actually want this one to be 51 to 100. In a school year, you have 187 teaching days, and you have 194 days, including paid days. Dang. Okay, so that would be the standard deviation. But I feel like that's a little bit lame. It makes it really hard to get and lose households. So I think we carve into the middle, the 0 standard deviations number a little bit. Oh god, this probably would have been easier to do in a spreadsheet, wouldn't it? Because I kind of want it to be a 5% chance instead of 2. So if we're going to go, that would be what? 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, because it's inclusive. So 1 to 5 and 96 to 100. Okay. Then you had 2 chapters and you're slowly drowsing off, so you're going to call it quits and go to sleep. Hey, no worries. Thanks for hanging out, Izzy. Good job on your chapters. I also sort of like the idea of 1d4 minus 1 households. Because 1d4 households is going to have an average of 2. 2.5, but round down. So 1d4 minus 1 households is going to have an average of 1. So I think it'll be so sad when you get a 1. I know. But I think this is going to be 6 through 10. That means overall there's a 20% chance of households, which more or less is starting from 1 standard deviation, right? So that kind of works. Okay, I like that. (1d4 minus 1). And then on the flip side, we're adding another one here that's going to be 91 through 95. is plus 1d4 minus 1 households. Then we've got our 1d4 and our 2d4 individuals. Now, what do we think is more interesting? Do we like rolling 2d4, or should we do like 1d4 plus something? The average of 2d4 is 5. So we could also do 1d4 plus 2. Would be similar. Technically, the 1d4 plus 2 is slightly less, but I feel like 2d4 is more exciting, though, right? Because you also might get 8. Yeah, I think I like 2d4 better. So initially we wanted to be about 15%. That's actually not bad. So we're not too far off from that. Right now we've used 10% there. Then if we do maybe another 10% band here, we go this to 90, 81 to 95. Or sorry, 81 to 90. And then that shifts this down from 51 to 80. We want this one to be 10%. So this is going to go from 11, 20. And then this goes 21 to 50. Okay. That should be, right? A 5% chance, a 5% chance. A 10% chance, a 30% chance, 30% chance, a 10% chance, 5% chance, 5% chance. So this is just a slightly skewed standard deviation bell curve. I like it. With stuff growing like that, well, we have to pay the percent increase of growing, like new resources, for example, or would it just be what the people coming in and growing that would be doing? I think mostly it's going to happen on its own. I see them more as like quest givers and facilitators of story growth than like specifically having to get into the nitty gritty of like, oh, one more person moved in. That means you've got to pay 2 more upkeep or like whatever. Maybe, you know, like maybe occasionally like the Baron comes by and is like, hey, you guys have had a lot of growth recently, like time to pay some taxes, or, you know, like maybe I'll do something like that. But it's more for funsies / to give you guys more like play value out of your land. You know, like, hey, we're gonna, like, it's time to go around and collect our taxes, or, you know, like it's time to like we're gonna go and build a new road, or like, hey, the people on this farmstead have been having a lot of trouble with like goblins, like we're gonna go try and find the camp that the goblins are coming from, or like that sort of thing. So, okay, we now have these rolls. Let's give it a try. And just see what would happen. It makes it less a money management sim. Yeah, yeah. Oof, okay, so I rolled 16. So that would put us at losing 2d4 individuals. However, that's before bonuses, right? So I guess we don't need that d4 anymore, huh? I sort of solved that out in the way that we ended up building this table. The d4 is now here. Yeah. There's no separate roll there. All right, so like what would our changes be? So we rolled a 16. This is wilderness. So that's -5, so that's 11. How risky is it to live on the landlord's land? Right now, it's very high. So that actually would put you at a 1. There is... Wait. These are in reverse. There is no infrastructure right now, so we're at -4. The land is not prepared. The land is very much not prepared, so -6. There's no access to trade. Oh dear. There is an incentive though. And presumably you guys are going to run really low taxes. But okay, so that would have been a fail. But it was a roll of 16, right? So let's see what's our total bonus. So you're going to run very low taxes. That's +10. There are incentives for moving right now, paid for by the Baron. That's +12. I know you're memeing, but let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. So +12. There is no access to trade right now, so that's +7. The land is very much not cleared, so +5. There is no infrastructure, so that's 0. There is very high risk, so -10, and it's a wilderness location. So you have right now you have a -15 on your rolls to attract settlers, which isn't great, but that's not the worst. I mean, that means your average roll is going to be a 40, which is only like slightly losing. And you can upgrade some of these things. That's part of the point, right? So, all right, but then also there's the reputation check that has to be taken into account. Most of the time, a character doesn't decide to use their reputation. The GM decides when a character's reputation is relevant to a scene or encounter. At the moment it becomes pertinent. The GM makes a reputation check for an NPC or monster that might be influenced in some fashion due to the character's notoriety. Reputation check is equal to 1d20 plus the character's reputation bonus plus the NPC or monster's intelligence modifier. The GM may substitute a knowledge skill bonus, blah, blah, blah. I think as of right now, we would say that Alendite & Co. has a small amount of notoriety, right? Because he was a contributor to the Battle of Capstone. Right, but look at the other description, right? The character is famous, known far and wide. I don't think we're there yet. So although +2 does seem a little bit low because you are like locally well known. I'm thinking maybe like a +4 on the reputation check. And then we assume that your average NPC has a score of 11, which is a plus or minus 0. So we've got a reputation check, which is a d20 +4, we'll say for this. And then that will add a bonus to your D100 roll, I think is what makes sense. So reputation. What was the wording? Small amount of fame. Reputation is +4. Reputation. Alendite +4. Small amount of fame plus local bonus. Oh, right. Add his diplomacy. Is Alendite around? Could look up his diplomacy, I suppose. We are doing a little micro play test here, so party folder, original party. Oh, not that one. Character info. Use yours. Character sheets. I assumed as much. Alendite's bonus to diplomacy is drumroll. 2. Not bad. Not bad. So this is going to be a 1d20 plus diplomacy plus reputation. I'm going to put this is a work in progress back. This is a work in progress. We'll be most of the way done today, but it'll take one more session to like finish it. And make that a lowercase t. All right. So that doesn't need to be here anymore. We've included that and incorporated it. So what did I say he was at right now? He was at a negative 15. So in this case, then, we've got that and that. And right now our modifiers are +6 to the d20 roll. And -15 to the d100 roll. So let's do the d100. 83. Holy heck. Well, that's going to be a big ol' success. And then we'll roll the 20-sided dice. All right. So, and that was +6. So, 24. So we've maxed out. We're over 100. So, you would gain 1d4 households of, varying size. Oh, so using those numbers, you would gain 4 new households, which would probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen-ish new people. Okay. Let's do it again. I wish I didn't have to change this every time. So 1d100. And they all moved out. Yep, they all moved out. The next month went less well. Turned out there was a like moderately sized goblin invasion. Half of them died and half of them fled. All right, let's try it again. Oh my god. Okay, well, now you've lost your initial settlers, probably. Well, it was only one household that time. You've got about 4 people left on your land right now. 18. All right, 18 we might be able to work with. It's not going to be great, but let's roll the 20. Okay, so an 18 there as well. Plus 6 is 24. So 18 plus 24. We've got 42. You're going to lose 1d4 individuals. Oh, you only have 2 people left living on your land. Oh my god, what are these rolls? Holy crap. Well, it's not looking good for your initial settlers in our little test here. Because these rolls have been absolute ass. 22, so then it's minus 1d4. Yeah, womp womp. So you'd be starting from scratch if those were your first few rolls using this system. What are these rolls? Hello? Good thing it's just a test, right? All right, so in this case, that's a 68 plus. Whew, the d20s have been good. Plus 24, so that's 88. That's 92. So you're getting 1d4 minus 1 households. You're with a minimum 1 is usually the way that works. You get one new household. Try it again. Maybe people leaving based on other criteria. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why I want to do this is it's a random generator for world events, right? So like if you guys keep rolling low, then I'm going to describe that as like, like turns out the land is blighted. Now you guys need to go and solve the blight. Or not, I suppose, but or like I said, or like repeated goblin attacks, or like, tried to grab something that was just out of reach. Yeah, thank you, Lily. We're just about done. I'm just gonna run a few more tests on this, and then we'll do 10-ish minutes of show and tell, and that'll put us done before 2 hours at least. Nice. All right, let's do one more. D100 roll 72. Very good. Plus 9 plus 6 is 15, so that's 85. 85 gets you 2d4 individuals, which is a little unfortunate. There's no way to do that with random.org. Well, okay, that's not true. There is. It's we're rolling between 2 and 8, I suppose. 8 individuals. All right. I think this seems to be fine so far. I mean, random.org is brutalizing us on the rolls. But we'll play test it a little bit more and tweak some of the descriptions and whatnot. I'm pretty happy with this, though. It was fun. Good little exercise. And on average, you should skew towards gaining people just slightly, because right now you have a negative 15 on the D100, but the average roll of a d20 is 11, and you have a +6 to that roll. So on average, if you roll an average d100 of 55 and an average d20 of 11 plus 6, your average roll should be like in the 70s on average. So you should slowly accumulate people on average. All right. Are our tour folk here? I know a while ago they said yes, but also I spent a little bit longer playing around with the randomizer than I meant to. Our tour people being Mustache and or Tabitha, that is. Perhaps I should clarify. Excellent. You guys are the best. Thank you. Let me open Tailspire here, and I'll show you the components we've built for Fort Leona, and then we can chat a little bit about Battle Arena real fast. Vaguely, thank you. Where the heck is Tailspire? There it is. I can find it in my games list. You might as well get the music too. I guess then I won't be able to hear it, but all right, so this is Tailspire, our virtual tabletop, and this is the game board where we've been building components for Fort Leona that we've just spent all that time working on stuff for. So the way it works in the Stronghold Builder's Guidebook is you select and spend money on various components or like sections for your stronghold, and then that determines your size and cost and whatnot. So we custom modeled out each of these buildings, which I'll do a quick tour of, like a 2-minute tour of the whole thing. There's also the graveyard of builds that we attempted and then didn't end up keeping, and then we have one more build that we still need to finish up. So in no particular order, just going down the line. Isn't Tailspire neat? I freaking love this program. It has a few idiosyncrasies, but I love it. This is the barracks. This is the magical lab. This is the tavern, which they've named the Shattered Shield. I love this build. This is probably my favorite thing I've ever built in Tailspire. This one in particular. I like all these builds, but the tavern I'm particularly fond of. The stables. So we haven't assembled these into a fort yet, obviously. We've just been making the components individually. The Castellan's office. The shrine to the Peacebringer. This one is a combination of two components. This is the armory and the watchtower. Then we have the, I believe this is servants' quarters. Yeah, servants' quarters. Or, I don't know, staff living quarters, whatever you want to call it exactly. And the dining hall. I did just think of something. The way that Aurar built this. There's 4 chairs here, but there's 5 people in the party. Who doesn't get a chair? So this was really fun, and we collaborate on these. The dining hall was primarily built by Aurar from our community, and I did a little bit of a X.5 version update where I added a little bit of detailing. Version 1 of the servants' quarters was done by Kale in chat, and then I did version 2 with some additional detailing. Aurar did the build for the tower, but I did all the detailing for that, and then made the armory and attached that. The shrine I made, the castellan's office I made, the stables I made, the tavern I made. The magical lab was mostly Rubato's player, and I consulted a little bit. The barracks, Pixie did version 1, I did version 2, and added some detailing. And then the kitchen, this is version 1 of the kitchen that Amras in chat did. It's our last thing to fiddle with. Tabitha said, you're going to bug me about this. You need information. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that is most of Fort Leona. We just need to finish up the version 2 of the kitchen, and then start assembling it into an actual fort and building a wall around it and such. Clearly Druge doesn't need one because he can turn into one. Wait, so we should make it 3. So there's 3 chairs, and then Druge is a chair for the 4th person. Also love that with him not being there, he was just a stump in the tavern the whole time. Do you run your whole campaign off of this? Yes. Yeah, we do. So in the prologue for our campaign, we didn't have cameras on yet. So you just see Tailspire. At the end of the prologue, we added the campaign or the cameras and everything. So you see, we sit in a row along the bottom, and then above and behind us is Tailspire. So I'll show you just super quickly a couple of the other boards that we use. Rocket. So this is the Fool and Flask Tavern, where our player characters spend a lot of their time. I did not make this one. This one is from the Tailspire community. We have, let's see, what are some other neat ones? Oh, there was, oh shoot, what did I call that one? This one. I made this one for the Chronicles campaign that also takes place in our campaign setting. This was a little goblin camp that I threw together. But I tried to do detailing that made sense. I put like lily pads in the little ponds, and I was like, well, they'd probably want to put their tent on like a rock. And they'd want to build their fire above the muck. So this was a fun one to throw together. Can you customize the characters? Sort of. Hold that thought for 1 sec. Good question, though. And then our crown jewel. This is the scene or the setting for many of our scenes. This is the frontier town of Capstone. Still a lot of work to do, as you can see, but it's super duper cool. So when I say we had a battle with 2,000 belligerents, like we literally had like hundreds of miniatures out here arrayed outside the town. Oh no, what did you do? My wife spent hours on Roll20 making maps. Capstone was a super cool build. For the sake of time, I won't stop and shout out every little thing right now, but I did maybe a quarter of this, about half of it. Well, no, I did about a third. A handful of community members did about a third, and then about a third of it is stuff that other people have made that they've shared on. It's called Tales Tavern. I do love the church gardens out here, though. We have had quite a few scenes in this location. All right, so as far as customizing characters goes, they have quite a few minis built into the game, and they add more stuff pretty frequently. We go over here. So we have aberrations, beasts, celestials, constructs, demons, dragon folk, dwarves, elementals, elves, fae, giants, gnomes, goblins, half demons, half orcs, halflings, humans. Obviously, there's a lot of those. Humanoids, monsters, orcs, and undead. There's a pretty good array of things already. And you can do various stuff with them. Like if you want to take this like Banshee, that's actually a really freaking cool mini. Like maybe you want her to fly, and he's huge. Oh god, that's horrifying. There are also a handful of interactions. So you can emote. So you can be like surprised, wiggle, whirl. There's also, you can like knock things down, turn on torches because there is dynamic lighting. You can hide it. And then as DM, you can look at hidden objects. But as far as truly custom minis, Tailspire itself does not support custom, like fully custom minis. However, they do partner with Hero Forge, if you know Hero Forge. And so you can connect either the Hero Forge, I think they call them packs, like what we have here. Oh, okay. I can show you Hero Forge really quickly too. And then also you can make custom individual minis. So, although not all my minis are currently showing as attached. The one downside there is, well, other than whatever's going on and like why a lot of the minis that should be here aren't currently here, is through Hero Forge you do have to pay for the custom minis. They're not unreasonably expensive. I think they're about $5 each, but you know, obviously depending on your means, you probably only want to customize a certain number of them. Where are waiting on details? What is this? Oh no. Well, there's a little bit of something weird going on right now. I appear to have lost connection to Bahir's minis. Is Bahir the one that did the mini for Skabosh? Yes. Like Kale said, you can get the subscription and then cancel it, and then you get a bunch of credits each month with the subscription. No, it was Amras. Oh. Is it? No, but Alendite is still showing up. So anyway, this is a custom mini. All of our players decided to make custom minis. So this is Alendite, our Knight Paladin. By here, that's so weird. Well, I don't know why that needed to be re-downloaded, but this is Kale's character by here. And conveniently, we also just during a working stream like the one that you're at right now, we made Bahir recently hired some valets, and we made minis for them during one of the working streams. So this is Zara and Eyeless. I think my height isn't set right. No, my camera blur's being all weird. There we go, that's better. So the two of them go with Bahir, which is why their clothes are those colors. We have Rubato. And Druge. You wish. Did I do? No, and Skabosh. Dixie's character, Skabosh. Since they're here, I might as well really quickly make that unique. Did she come through as Zara? She did. Excellent. GM tools, make unique. Cool. Oh, right, and get rid of that. Although that would be hilarious to leave there, and then we just start our session next time, and people who weren't here for the stream today are just like, So there's that. We'll do a 90-second overview of Talespire and then Battle Arena stuff. Yeah, I've used Foundry a very little bit. It's okay. But yeah, not my favorite. Hero Forge is just a web app. It's just literally just heroforge.com. You load in, and this is the default screen. And then over here, you have all the different animals and humanoid creature types that you can add. There are a freaking crap load of them. And then you can change their gear, pose their body, color everything. We started working on one. What are they under? Heroes, I think, right? Yeah. We have a couple that are works in progress. This is a work in progress for Bridget, the Knight Commander of the Capstone Militia. Oops, I don't want to. There we go. I don't know what's going on with the horse's head there. And this one we've done even less on, but this will be a project for one of the working streams. This is going to be Mina, the creepy gnome fortune teller shopkeeper. So, D&D Battle Arena. And then we really are going to get out of here soon. Two things. One is we have a little map that we've put together for the battle arena. We'll probably add more over time, but no, they have, oh god, not that one. But they've never completed this one. So it's a start. But so this is what the arena looks like. The goal is to get to the treasure at the top. There are a few, don't mind the giant centipede. Or whatever's probably still in here. Yeah, the Adiug. And its tentacle. Forgot that I hadn't cleaned up after last time. So this is just a map from Tales Tavern, so the Talespire community that they have allowed people to use freely. And okay. Thank you. Okay. I think that's everything, right? We cleaned it all up. I feel like there should be one more player character body somewhere. But maybe we'd already removed that. And then we placed these plinths around. So these will fully refresh like health and mana and abilities and whatnot. So there are 3 of those. And then, yeah, the goal is just to get to the top. And then, you know, you'll be saved by the gods or whatever. And then while we're playing, the people in chat can use what we call doubloons, which are a freemium currency, to do things to affect the arena. Sometimes they give magic items to the players. Sometimes they cast positive or negative spells on the players. Sometimes they summon monsters to the arena. Yeah, it's just a fun little way to get together and sling some dice and, you know, low pressure. I mean, obviously I hope you win, but at the same time, like, if you die, it's fine, right? It's like, it's not a big deal. The goal is to be almost kind of like a Helldivers D&D, but with audience participation. So that's our current battle arena map. Like I said, I'm sure we'll add more over time. As far as how it works, there are the character sheets that are posted in our Discord. So if you... Thank you. Yeah, the exact mechanics of how, like, giving people magic items and whatnot works is a little bit more complicated and probably outside of what I'm going to get into today, because we'll go over it all again on Saturday. But essentially there's a Google form that you go and fill out to spend your doubloons. You can get some doubloons for free. You can get more doubloons by like tipping or sharing bits or whatever. That's why I say freemium if you're not familiar with that term. Thank you. So these are the characters that are available. We wanted to make it easy for people that weren't super familiar with D&D, so there's no character creation required. You just go in our Discord, go to the D&D channel, and then one of the newest messages is this one for me. I said at Tabletop Roleplaying, it's been too long. Let's do a D&D battle arena, blah, blah, blah. So all you have to do is RSVP here in D&D. Just be one of the first 6 people to claim a spot. So, like, literally just type a message like Mama did, said, I can play and I want to be a sorcerer. So, RSVP to let us know you want to play. Click here to go and look at the characters and let us know what character you want. And then download the free version of Talespire. That's how that'll work. And then I made stripped down versions of the character sheets. Obviously, for something like this, we don't care about most non-combat skills, so I just cut all that off. And, you know, boiled it down to like basic stats, armor, weapon, spells if appropriate. These character sheets, I'm really pleased with how they turned out. They were an absolute load of work, though. to like decide what to include and what not to include, and to generate art for them, and a lot of work. Also to get gnomes that don't look like garden gnomes. That was interesting. So yeah, I guess any last minute thoughts or questions or whatever on that? Not from you? Okay, cool. Of course, if you do think of anything else, you can just fling it in the D&D channel. And I check. I'm on Discord a lot because that's my main communication hub with y'all. So I'll usually get back to you within a day, and oftentimes a lot quicker than that. So yeah, this was fun. I am going to wind it down as far as the stream goes, but yeah, I'll catch up on DMs here in a little bit, and our next stream is not Friday. It would be Friday, but Friday's Valentine's Day, so we decided to take it off. So our next stream is going to be on Twitch, twitch.tv/HereThereBeMonsters on Saturday. We'll start with Lord of the Rings Return to Moria from 3-ish to 6-ish Pacific. And then Saturday, after Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, will be the D&D Battle Arena starting around 6-ish Pacific. So thank you all so much for being here. One last shout out, if you haven't done so yet, please consider putting a like on the video or on the live stream. And again, a plug for watching our D&D session videos. If you like what we're making and you're curious about our world and our story and whatnot, if you have a chance to check out our D&D sessions, we would super appreciate it. Take care, y'all, and as always, be excellent to each other.